Welcome back to the show. It's I Quit My Band. How's it going tonight, fellas?
So good.
Great, dude.
Wow, there's a little pause there. I
had to think. I was gonna say like I don't know something different. And I was just like, I'm fine.
Stick to what works. You know
if
what
it
I mean?
ain't broke, don't fix it.
Yeah, if it ain't broke, don't fix
What
it.
got us to the game, dude.
Exactly. We can't always be killing the game.
Can't always be killing the game.
Absolutely not.
Thanks everyone for being here. It's I Quit My Band. Thanks for watching the show. If you haven't subbed already, go ahead and sub down there. Follow us on Instagram and TikTok, and sub to our Patreon page. We got a new review on our Patreon of the new Ghost album called Skeleton on there. Patreon's where we kind of let it loose. You know, it's we're not playing by any rules. You know what I mean? So go check that out. It was a fun review. Tonight we are continuing on with our series of Season of the Chad. Is what we're calling it. Reviews.
The Season of the Chad goes from approximately April until we decide that it's not
until it's
anymore.
over. Yeah, and
until we hit Christmas and we're just scrounging for Christmas songs to talk about.
Yeah. Season of the Saint Nick.
Yeah,
that's what it's going to turn into. We're here for mainly one thing tonight, and that is to review Sleep Token's new album, Even in Arcadia, that just came out. This is kind of one of our most anticipated albums of the year.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Maybe for the wrong reasons.
I was going to say, albeit just because of the visceral reaction that we have received from the Sleep Token verse.
Yeah.
Big time. Yeah.
If none of that happened, I don't think we'd even be reviewing this shit.
Probably not. I
Almost
mean,
100%.
Yeah.
Yeah. I mean, we've been over on the show, but we talked about Sleep Token like 2 years ago at this point, and kind of poked fun at Two's Drumeo video. People did not like that.
Still
You can
don't.
go find that clip. Yeah, they still don't. You can go find that clip on our YouTube or TikTok if you want to check it out. If you're a Sleep Token fan, maybe don't, because it might upset you.
We're not trying to upset anybody.
Yeah, but I mean, in the grand scheme of everything Sleep Token, aside from that video that we've posted and said, we haven't really been super negative about this band. I think that they were put on the show because we listened to that song "Do You Wish That You Loved Me" off of their last album, Take Me Back to Eden, and we were kind of just discussing the fact that, wow, this is kind of this is like one of the biggest metal acts right now, but this is not really metal whatsoever. What do you think about that? You still liked the song.
I did. I actually listened to that album for the first time front to back in preparation for this.
Yeah.
I tell you what, that was a highlight.
That's one of the highlights.
There you go.
Do you believe it? Yeah.
Little Michael McDonald going on.
Little Michael McDonald and Cher.
That's who Vessel falls in.
Yeah.
But yeah, so Sleep Token, they're this masked band consisting of 1, 2, and 2, 3, and 4, right?
Yeah,
Yes.
and
then
Vessel is the
Vessel's
one.
number 1. Yeah.
Numero.
Yeah.
Number one in our hearts.
And they put out a couple records so far. Yeah, Take Me Back to Eden was the last one, and this one, Even in Arcadia, has been on a release cycle since like the beginning of this year. We listened to a couple singles. We listened to Emergence on the show, which, it didn't feel like, from what we knew about Sleep Token, it didn't feel like it was, in anything like different, but maybe just like kind of expanding upon slightly what they were doing with like some saxophones and some like different kind of synths in there, and maybe a tiny bit better production, but it still felt like right in the vein of what they do, which is blend heavy djent guitars with very poppy music.
Yeah. Which I didn't know when we first listened to them. So like
They look like the scariest band.
they do,
Yes.
yeah. Like they look how Death Heaven should look.
Yes,
Right.
exactly.
You know, like if we listened to Magnolia and you told me that like which of these two bands wrote that album,
Yeah.
I'd
You
be
just had like a criminal lineup
Yeah.
while holding the signs. It's
Like-
like pick the metal guy. Where is it? Yeah.
it's probably that giant intergalactic bug man or
Right, all the guys painted black with
Yeah.
symbols on their faces.
Yeah, so like going back after we've like discussed them more, I realized like literally from the advent, it's been this mix
Yeah.
of like R&B, trap, like soul, very poppy electronic stuff. And then like you'll get these giant blasts of metal, and sometimes they'll write like a whole metal song that'll be like more melodic or something, like off the last album, that Vor.
Yeah, we got a lot of comments of like Vor.
Yeah,
Gotta go check that one out. Yeah,
and it's definitely off that album. That's probably like that, or I think Summoning was pretty
Summoning,
heavy.
And there was another one. Oh shit, I can't remember the name of that, but it might have been the opener off of that one too.
Yeah, so like when Chokehold.
Yeah.
So yeah, like when you played Do You Think That You Would Love Me?
Do you wish that
you would love me? I thought it was like, in my head, it was like this really heavy band that had released this like super poppy thing. But like going back, I'm like, oh no, this is just kind of what they did.
That's their fucking thing.
But they left the djent guitar out of that.
Yeah.
And with Emergence, it felt like the way that they employed the heavy guitar was less organic than some of the other times that they've done it. Like on the first record, it'll be like the metal section will kind of be its own thing.
Yeah.
Whereas like the djent guitar in Emergence was just kind of like copying what the synth was already doing.
Yes.
Yeah, it just kind of made the song that already existed heavier and louder. Where it's like, you know, it's not really, there's nothing like guitar-wise that's really impressive. You're just going like, boom, 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 boom. And it's like, that's what djent is. I get that. But I always felt like I maybe would have enjoyed that song more if it would have just stayed the course of just being what it was, you know, and maybe bringing it to the next level in some other way aside from going from like one extreme to the other.
If you really want me to enjoy that song, just fast forward to that sax.
That sax is awesome.
Dude, the sax is crazy.
It's so sick. But what do you, I mean, JJ, you have thoughts on Sleep Token.
Yeah. It's to me, I don't know. Well, this is, maybe I'll save that for my CA. I'm going to save that for my CA. We could just dive in if you want to.
Yeah, before we dive in, I do want to say, you know, every time we talk about Sleep Token, a lot of people always like come in the comments and say like, "Well, you're gatekeeping metal," and I
what do you mean?
Let's just say we're fine with genre blending and everything. So everything we say, we're not gatekeeping. We're fans of heavy music in any way. So, you know, it's fine if this is considered metal. We don't give a shit.
Implying that we're gatekeeping it because we want metal songs to only be metal and that's it?
Yeah.
Oh, okay.
I think that's what it's supposed.
Okay.
What people think.
Why would
that
we want
prefer?
That? Yeah.
And believe me, I mean, if real metalheads saw half of the shit that we listen to or talk about, they'd be like, "Fuck these guys."
These guys are these guys. The Billie Eilish review.
Yeah.
Like, it's an 8. It's a hell yeah.
Yeah, I think, and too, like going back and listening to their older stuff, their appeal makes so much more sense to me.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Like taking these top 40 elements, packaging them the way that they do, and then also adding in this like heavy element. It's
and
like,
also adding in like the lore, you know, of, you know, the
Your cat did that.
My cat? Where is she?
It's over there.
All right, whatever. Yeah, and then also the lore and the masks and everything, which is also like a big thing right now.
Yeah.
You know, with Ghost and other bands. I feel like there's some other bands I can't.
President.
President. I mean, President. I can't wait to hear that.
Yeah,
too,
we heard President's voice for the first time.
Yep.
Recently.
Yeah, I'm pumped.
And it
Dude.
was like, oh, come on, man. What do you mean?
Hey, what are you talking about?
I'm the new pope. Yeah, that was the president's voice.
Yeah, their first single.
Listen to my first single.
My first single. What do you say, fellas?
Let's do it.
We're gonna jump into Even in Arcadia, Sleep Token. It's I Quit My Band. This is the first song. Look to Windward.
Starting with a little chip tunes type situation.
It's like Nintendo Inch Nails.
Yeah. Yes.
Yeah.
Yes.
I didn't even think about that, but yeah. Yeah, I mean, this is it's an interesting place for a song that's nearly 8 minutes long to kick off the record, with these kind of this slow introduction that kind of builds and builds and builds. I mean, there's a lot of tracks on this record that follow this format.
Yes.
But yeah, I was a little bit. I mean, it's classic. Everything I've heard from Sleep Token before, like slow, and then you have that vessel vocal come in. Like it always.
Yeah.
It reminded me a lot of what I already heard on Emergence, just with like a different instrumental underneath it.
Yeah, I wouldn't disagree. I think that for me, this might be the strongest thing on the record. I think that, maybe it's because you hear it first.
Yeah.
Recency bias.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But I do think that the ideas build on each other in this song better than they do later in the record. Like later in the record, the djent guitars become like a jump scare.
Yeah.
Like
Yeah.
they just kind
Always
of like
become the jump scare.
like right out of nowhere. Whereas this one does feel like it's gathering energy, and like when it does make those switches to like the harder sections, it feels a bit more like earned. Like
Yeah.
It's an organic progression of ideas rather
Yeah.
than just like we've had a pop song for 3.5 minutes. We need the djent guitars.
They fake you out sometimes, though. Like
Yeah.
it feels like we're gonna get to like the and then it doesn't, and then they go back down. It's like, so yeah, I could see how this one maybe it does have the most natural like linear rise, but there's other songs on the album that we'll come to that like feels like we're hitting a logical like and it doesn't,
Yeah.
and then it does when you don't expect it to. Or something.
I will agree that
know?
this one does have the most natural build out of anything, and it does have one of the most satisfying endings. I mean,
my god, the ending is so sick.
I want to fast forward to that. I mean, we have. Okay, wait.
I mean,
that was the middle.
and then at like 5:20 they go into like a Bon Iver section.
Yeah,
there's
he's
a
doing,
lot
like-
of different like sections.
There's a
of the
lot
song.
going on.
Yeah,
The last 20 seconds of this song, or I think that's what you touched on, was like, that's what I feel like aesthetically. If you're just looking at them,
this is like right in the middle. This is after the haunt you, this eclipse in me build.
also, I have problems with lyrics on this album quite a bit.
Yeah,
That the haunting eclipse situation seems like just like a mad lib of like, what's some sick words that like, cause like
I agree.
I don't think they know what that means, or like, maybe not that, but like it seems like a really ham-fisted way to be like arty,
Like poetic.
and
Yeah.
but doesn't scream. It's like something I'd try to write, and
Oh,
I'm not
yeah.
poetic at all.
Well, I think it's less that than like the two things kind of clashing for me are the lore, the look, and like that type of like lyrics plays into that, like
Yeah.
Eclipse, Arcadia,
Yeah.
Eden,
Yeah.
all this stuff. But then like at the core of this album, it's like very personal about like fame
Yes,
and like being uncomfortable with
in
how
love.
yeah,
Love.
Yeah.
Just like it's classic like pop themes in songs.
Almost like singer-songwriter subject matter.
Yeah, I mean, I think the song Damocles is kind of a good example of that. Like we have this, the title is Damocles, and it doesn't really even seem to like matter at all. It's like about like texting somebody. I don't even know.
It might be like a trend. We'll see how the review goes, but like, there's just a lot of shit that doesn't match. You know
Yeah.
what I'm saying?
Yeah. Well,
Yeah.
I mean, that's kind of their
That's
thing.
their thing. I
Yeah,
guess.
that's the appeal to, I think,
Yeah.
a large portion of the audience is like the genre blending, the like algorithmic nature of the music
Yeah.
at
Yes.
times.
Yeah.
Because like I know they're like pretty big on TikTok, and
Yeah.
that makes sense because
They have like 9 million monthly listeners on
Yeah.
Spotify.
I mean, they're blending so much. I mean, like this is like he's like rapping pretty much in this section. We've just got this huge djent guitar breakdown. We had like a singer-songwriter opening. We have like this trap drum section, and then we're
here's
gonna
the Bon Iver.
yeah.
Oh
Yeah,
yeah.
I forgot about this little Bon Iver part. Yeah, it does sound exactly like Bon Iver.
Just like
Yeah, and then it ends with like another black metal. Like there's like some really guttural screams,
Which
I
is
guess.
very sick.
It sounds cool.
That's
yeah.
the coolest thing. It like
Yeah.
takes a beat and then it's just like.
Yeah, I did like. I mean, that part catches you off guard.
I think this is my favorite thing on the record, but like you know, it's like I've tasted the whole menu at this point.
Yeah.
Like
The
whole thing.
I like the way that everything comes together, but like not to the point where I was like, man, I can't wait to hear what's next. It's just like I got it all with this
Yeah.
one.
Yeah,
Yeah.
to me, I mean, it is like you get it all with this one, and it is a cool piece of music, but I always just felt like they showed their hand of this record like way too early.
Yeah.
Like you hear this song and you're like, okay, that's what else are you gonna do? You know, what
They're
I
gonna
mean?
do that like 7
They
more
do
times.
it a lot of more times.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Play the end part though.
Yeah. It's getting to it.
It's
There we go. Yeah, that part
Yeah,
is cool.
that's what the
Yeah.
whole band should be.
Yeah.
Like, based on their aesthetic, you know.
Based on their aesthetic, yes, I would
Yes.
agree with that.
Yeah.
Let's move on. This is Emergence. We listened to this on the show. You know, my opinion really hasn't changed of it.
You think the deep voice, their arms around me, you think that's 2?
I think it's just Vessel.
I think
with,
it's
like,
all
a
Vessel,
different-
dude.
Yeah.
You think it's
This
two?
guy
From his Drumeo interview.
arms around me.
You think that's two? But yeah, I mean, I feel like this song just like follows the very same structure as what we just heard. It's just like a little bit more compact and formatted differently, where it's like verse, chorus, verse. But it's still like it even has like the hook. Like the other one had the haunt this eclipse.
Yeah.
This one has the arms around me repetition thing. I do think this is a very like pretty section right here. It reminds
agree,
me
yeah.
a lot of Deftones, which
Oh,
I
yeah.
think I said when we first listened to it. But
Definitely.
Yeah.
Yeah, I would say what I said about how the genres blended in that first one, where it's like kind of like logical and rising.
Yeah.
I feel pretty much the opposite with this one.
Yes.
In that, like, they use that arms around me as like this piece of connective tissue
Yeah.
to just get to parts that don't seem to
It's
really...
like a jagged thing,
Yeah.
right?
Yeah.
Because like there's a moment like when at 320 there's a vibe shift where I think they go heavy.
Yeah.
And it's like as opposed to like a it's like
it's the jump scare.
Yes.
Like it's another jump. It's what they start doing on the record, where it's not gradual. It's just like hitting you over the head with a hammer, just without you even noticing.
they're trying to be maximalist at
Yeah.
the detriment of the music to me, because they're like we said with the first song, they're showing their hand, but they're like, we're gonna try this, then we're gonna try this, and then fuck it, dude, sax solo at the
Yeah,
end.
yeah, dude.
The sag solo is...
I do like this act.
I just want to know, is there like one of the guy, like when they do this song live, is there a guy with just a normal saxophone
No, it's,
poking
I don't know.
it's made
poking
of bones.
yeah,
Yeah,
made of
yeah.
poking through like the fabric of a mask or something?
That would be fun.
They don't breathe
Yeah.
though. They're not
Well,
of this
Vessel's
earth.
the only one that has the mouthpiece.
Oh,
thing.
shit.
Yeah. So
'Cause
maybe
he
it's
has
it.
to.
Yeah. But yeah, I don't enjoy the rapping.
Yeah, there's like maybe one time on the record where like the beat, I'm like, okay.
Yeah.
But for the most part, it's like it's not he does it just sounds very like
Here it
kinda-
is here. That's heavy with the rapping.
yeah, and it's like it's doing the same exact thing
Yeah.
that the synth
Yeah.
and 808s were doing. Yeah, there's just like a very stock element to where they go into certain genres. Like
Yeah.
where they might have some identity when they do like the metal stuff, because not
Yeah.
every band can sound like that.
Yeah.
Like when they go into like trap or rap, it just sounds like what you think of when you think of trap or rap. There's not
Yeah.
like
Yeah.
an idiosyncrasy to it.
Yeah, I would agree with that. Let's move on to the next song. This is Past Self. This is probably my favorite song on the record.
Oh wow, okay.
Because it feels like the most different to me. Like it doesn't feel like it follows that like this formula of like starting off really soft and then ending with heavy guitars, or like doing a bunch of shifts and everything. This feels just really straightforward.
Yes.
And even though this is basically just like a hip hop song, it feels like it to me. It has the most like influence from other past artists than anything on the record. Like this reminds me of like Destiny's Child almost.
Oh wow.
You know
I
what
mean,
mean?
it just
Whoa.
to me it just sounds like a Drake song.
Yes,
or Drake, yeah,
exactly.
like something like that. I don't know. Like it just they did this well. I think
They don't do any genting in this
they don't do
one.
any genting, and I kind of like that they.
It's the most concise idea that doesn't like smack you in two different directions too many times.
And it feels catchy to me in that way. Like I actually did enjoy this song, not even as in like a in like, oh, this is my favorite off the record. Like I think this is like a well crafted song. I like this a lot.
Yeah, I mean I don't disagree. I think it's because I like that. Do you wish that you loved me?
Yeah.
And similarly, like they like. My thing is like what I respond to from songwriting is when it feels like there's one central idea being trying to be accomplished by every member of the band.
Yeah.
And I think that I have a hard time with like this band and this album at times because it just feels like ideas galore.
Right.
There's not one unifying one.
Yeah.
So I know what you mean. Like this does kind of work in that way of just like it's one idea. We're kind of making this like
we're making the best like version of like a hip hop song possible that we possibly can do.
But they to me they drew from like the shittiest era of hip hop that has existed because you're repeating the same melody over and over and over. Dun, 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 dun.
Yeah, I mean, I could kind of hear some like '90s influence in there, but more in like
maybe
a pop way.
It's
Yeah.
it's like trappish, you
It's a
know.
little bit of trappish.
I could hear. I mean, mostly I hear like Drake and The Weeknd.
Yeah.
The Weeknd, I could hear that.
I was trying to figure out what the singer truly sounds like to me because I had something like, and I couldn't figure out who it was. But I think this guy, Vessel, is just Avicii.
Did Avicii sing?
So wake me up when it's
that was
the
just
singer
like
from that song.
From that song?
Yeah.
I don't know.
When I'm
who that
wiser
Who that is,
and
yeah.
I'm older.
It was Vessel.
The only Avicii song I know is "Automatic." Still is.
Still is.
Wow. Yeah, I don't particularly hate this. It's an odd thing to get when you're thinking like I'm listening to a metal album.
Yeah.
Yeah.
know?
No.
But you kind of have to get over that when you're listening to Sleep
Yeah.
Token. And it is also weird just like the aesthetics being like this sounds like a sad guy at the club.
Yeah.
And it's just like the bouncer kicked him out because he's like, you can't have all that shit on, dude. Like, you can't.
We don't really let people in with the robe.
We don't
That's-
allow druids in
you
this
got
club.
2 swords.
Can't have a sword in the
You got to
club,
be
dude.
outside, dude.
This
Yeah.
is a druid-free zone.
Yeah, you just see him outside with like his sword's like tucked underneath his arm.
He's like,
texting.
I got rid of him. You
Yeah.
can't see him anymore.
calling an Uber.
Bullshit.
Passive aggressive.
Actually, I'm gonna call my father, and we'll see what he thinks about you not letting me into the
He
club.
actually owns the club. He's your boss.
Yeah, I was gonna say that this is like I did like this song, but it is the point in the record where it starts to be very hard to imagine the guys who we've all seen are this band. Like,
Yeah.
it starts to really feel like, okay, why do they look like that?
Yeah.
Why isn't it just a kid with the Kramer haircut?
Yeah, the broccoli
with the
haircut.
broccoli
Yeah,
haircut.
yeah.
Like, that's who that is to me, and I have a tough time like remembering, like you said, that this is a metal band or a metal album, and it's just like not even in the whole genre bending thing, but just in the like even
The
the
aesthetic,
lyrics
like
and
taking it in.
Yeah.
and
you
the
know?
lyrics too, where it's
Yeah.
like he's talking about his cash flow, and you're like, oh, what?
What?
Yeah. I thought you were supposed to talk about the goddess of sleep or
Yeah,
something
yeah.
Or
like
blood,
that. Or
or-
blood. Yeah,
yeah.
yeah. Let's move on. This is dangerous.
This one's got like a little dose of heavy in there.
They all do.
Little
Yeah.
They all
dose.
got a little dose.
It's like 98%
Yeah.
pop with like a little side dish.
That's what Vessel should change his name to. With
Side
all
dish?
No, Lil Dose.
A little
Yeah.
yeah, dude. He should take
all-
off. He just like on the mask, put like a little tattoo,
Yeah.
like here.
Yeah.
I'm
Lil
now
Dose.
Lil Dust.
I'm Lil Dose. Yeah. That'd be good. I'd listen to Lil Dose if he
Actually-
made more songs like Pat Self.
Actually, go by a little dose now.
I'm Lil Dose. Yeah.
And then the other guy can be Little Dose, but it's 2. It's still 2.
It's still two.
Yeah.
Little 2.
Yeah.
Two.
In Espanol.
Yeah, I like this vocal hook a little bit. Like, it's not bad. But like the beat drop is kind of like a moment of very strange. Like, this is, I don't remember where it comes up, but I remember like hearing it and just being like, this is the last thing that I thought I would be hearing at this point.
This is the one that sounded like the most like E.T. or like Dark Horse.
Yes.
Like Katy Perry, both Katy Perry songs.
Yes.
Where I was just like, why? Like, I know this melody and I know this voice, and it's Katy Perry in her prime.
Yeah, that.
Like, you know what I mean? Like, it
Dude,
sounds
that
like
100%
sounds like Dark Horse,
Yeah.
right? Yeah. I think it's Dark Horse or Alien. I can't remember.
It's one of those two. It's either E.T. or
Yeah.
Dark Horse, but it is like a dead ringer.
It's a dead ringer. Even with his voice, I was like, wait a minute, he sounds like Katy Perry.
He's
Yeah.
given Perry
He's
on
given
this
Perry.
one.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, and I think Vessel does have a good voice, and he has like a thing that makes him distinct. That like weird vibrato that he can do.
He dials up the Chewbacca
Vibrato.
vibrato.
A bit.
Yeah. I don't know if you can love me.
But I do think at this point in the record already, I'm kind of getting tired of the like one note nature.
I know what you mean.
Like everything's so melodramatic.
Yeah, I can't knock him for his voice because he does have a great voice and he has his own style, but like it's something with his melodies where they just always feel like they're pulling from the same group of notes and the same, like, you know, just the same melody. That's all I'm really saying. Like, he just feels like he's just rehashing his ideas all over and over again. That, or they just are very similar to other pop songs that are really well known. But yeah, it's that, and then on this song, I feel like this is a perfect example of getting hit over the head with a big, heavy part where you were just in another place, and then you just, for some reason, you're heading into this big djent breakdown. You're like, okay, I just have to like get through this. Like the djent parts just start to feel like, all right, and it's like you have to like roll your eyes a bit. And you're like, I just want to hear the thing you introduced me to.
Yeah.
You know,
Yeah.
I just want to like hear the rest of that.
And the djent part is like just doing what the music was doing before that. Like he sings that melody before over synth and stuff.
Yeah.
And then the second time it's just over djent. And it's
Yeah,
like, it
he's
feels like
not-
it should be its own
Yeah,
thing. You know?
he's not
Yeah.
doing much to like to help the heavy part of the song. Like it's just that same pop
He
melody.
can
over.
scream.
He can.
And there are
yeah.
moments
Yeah.
not where he doesn't just do a guttural like
Yeah.
he does like actual screaming where he's like saying words.
Yeah.
That would elevate some of these so much if you just took it to the next level and you weren't like at the like Imagine Dragons stage.
Yeah,
You
yeah.
know?
It's a good point. But the Imagine Dragons stage is
Yeah, they're stuck on Imagine Dragons.
There's a little bit of that in there.
There is definitely a bit of Imagine Dragons to the entire like thing. They're
the
like a
whole
little
yeah.
thing.
they're a little edgier, little cooler, but like they're definitely they're similar influence.
It's like Chainsmokers, Imagine Dragons meets goth.
Yeah, it's cut from the same cloth. a
Yeah.
little bit. I would much rather listen to Sleep Token than Imagine Dragons.
100%.
I'll give them that. Like,
Sure.
I would any day pick them over that, but it is like the same, come from the same. They're brothers from another mother.
Yes.
This is Caramel.
This one really confused me.
This one I think is the most Drake song.
Drake, and then like I could also hear Ed Sheeran singing this.
Ed
Like
Sheeran,
a calypso beat in the middle of
Yeah.
this dark thing.
and this very cheesy,
I hate this song.
this very
Yeah. Just letting
I
it be.
hate this.
Stick to me like caramel.
It's a very cheesy
What?
like hook. Like to throw stick to me like caramel on like a very heavy like I just kind of right here will lose my respect for you as like a heavy band. It's like
Yeah.
okay.
Right, exactly.
Yeah.
Because like I've bitched about like since we've talked about them shit not matching up. Right, I get it. and I can accept it in a certain way where you're trying to like project like I don't know what, but like when at a certain point you have to take a step back and be like, no, but you're wearing all black and carrying swords, and you know it's one thing to talk about like your feelings in like a metaphorical way, but then when you say stick to me like caramel, that's bubblegum pop, dude.
It's very bubblegum pop.
It's caramel pop.
It's caramel. Yeah, it's choco pop.
And then they're employing the djent the same way again.
Yeah.
Where it's like, it's just doing what the other music was already doing. And this is the one where he talks about, there's like a line about calling out my real name just to get a rise out of me. That's what I get for trying to hide in the limelight.
Yeah.
It's like their other music that I listened to definitely had like personal stuff, but there seemed to be more of a layer of that lore.
Yeah.
Where like, is he talking about a girl or is he talking about the goddess Sleep?
Yeah.
And like this one's like very much just like, I don't like being famous.
Yeah.
You know?
Yeah.
Which is, we've heard it before from other artists, like it's a
cherry pie guy.
It's a cherry pie guy situation. But yeah, I mean, like we get it on this song. We got a little bit of that personal touch on Past Self. It's definitely coming up more like in the last couple songs too. But yeah, I mean, this song was like kind of, when I heard this as a single, I was like, okay, I can't believe that they like went this pop. You know? Like the other, like Do You Wish That You Loved Me, that was its own creative endeavor, but that makes this, that song looks like fucking, Black Sabbath compared to the
that one
chorus, even though this one has the heavy guitars at the end. It's still,
Yeah, and there's a couple songs on this record that do this, like end heavy, where it's just like a little too late. Like,
Right. The last song does that. And
Yeah.
I mean, this is
heavy.
sick.
This is fucking super heavy.
It's super heavy, but it feels so shoehorned in. Like I'm just like, okay, like I said, I was like rolling my eyes, like, okay, you're trying to like win me back.
Well, and
after you gave me stick to me,
who wants both of these things at the same time? Because like, I can think of people that love pop, and if you start going, like they're gonna be like, no, I don't like this. And then there's people that love this, like black metal sounding shit. They don't want
Stick to Me Like Caramel.
Stick to Me Like Caramel.
Yeah, I've been thinking about that. Of like, is this like a band that could be a lot of people's gateway into metal or something like that? You know what I mean? Because they're hearing stuff. It's not even like Def Leppard or something where they just have poppy songs. It's like they are like putting out sounds that literally sound exactly like top 40 artists right now. And then they hit you with the big djent thing. I agree that like I don't understand the like mentality of a person that's like, I would like both of those in equal measure
at the same time.
But I do think that maybe like the net good is like maybe Sleep Token is going to be a gateway for people into like, I would imagine that Sleep Token fans are on the younger side.
Yes.
And that like in 10 years they might be like, you know what, I listen to Napalm Death now. And like Sleep Token is like their like thing that like they remember from when they were a teenager.
Maybe
I mean,
so that's a good point.
I think they do have, obviously they have a huge fan base and like a dedicated one, but it does seem like maybe that fan base is dedicated to, them, to Sleep Token and Sleep Token only when it comes to metal.
True.
You know what
that's
I mean?
true.
Like, it's just like, that's the heavy band that I like. And my other shit, like, they want to listen to heavy music. They don't really, nothing really does it for them unless you give them, a pop hook before you hit them over the head with a giant heavy guitar.
I have a feeling that if you hooked up a lot, like all 9 million people that are monthly listeners of Sleep Token, and you ask them, be honest, do you just tolerate the metal parts for all the pop stuff? They'd be like 80% would be like, I just wait till it's over, because it's mostly brief.
Yeah,
it's mostly brief.
Well, and I think that this and this is the title track, even in Arcadia.
Yeah.
This one, from everything that I've listened to Sundowner, I've listened to the one before this, Take Me Back to Eden,
Yeah.
and this one. This one is skewing the most pop.
Yes.
Yeah.
I would say. There's part of this that almost feels like a Vessel solo album a bit, because like
A vessel.
It's a vessel. Because the band comes in so infrequently.
Yeah.
And they're employed in like these very small sections. Like there's a couple different songs in a row where they come in to back up the second chorus and then drop right back out into like more pop stuff.
Happens a lot.
All the time.
And I think I read that too, that I think the first 3 albums were a part of some sort of trilogy, and this is the first album that is not a part of that. So, maybe they felt a little bit more freedom to like, or Vessel felt more freedom to write lyrics about more personal experiences.
Okay, yeah.
I could definitely see that, but it is just, it's just odd, to like take. They've always been pop, but this does feel like just a different turn altogether.
Yeah.
Like,
I mean, this is a straight movie trailer song.
Yeah, and like on some of the other stuff that I heard, like even when they were doing something poppy, I'd be like, oh, that's a cool synth choice.
Yeah.
Or that's a interesting whatever.
Yeah.
Like we get into like this batch of songs, like this one's just kind of like really sprawls out. And then look, that Viking guy voice, he sounds like the guy from Catatonic Youth always has. Where like the songs kind of feel like meandering. Like this one definitely feels that way.
They're very much meandering. I like the piano on this song. I think it's like, it's a nice like classic sounding like grand piano here. That
same thing with this like violin. It has like a very cinematic quality.
Yeah, there's some good instrumentation on here, but I will say, like that's another big takeaway from this record is like as a whole it feels a little bit directionless and meandering, and then some of the songs do as well, where it's like we don't really have a direction, so boom, let's do the big breakdown, and then let's go into this part. It's like some of these songs just feel like they don't have an identity, you know, much like the band.
Oh, nice. Good job.
They do have an identity. You just don't know.
You just don't know.
Yeah.
This is Provider.
This one is
probably
rough.
This is probably my least favorite off the record.
This is giving straight divorced dad. I'm the provider.
Yeah.
I'm pulling in
does.
the bucks to pay for the lunches.
Yeah. Don't listen to your mother.
I'm not
the provider.
dad. I'm the dad who stepped up.
Yeah, I'm Vessel, okay? Your mom ain't shit.
Yeah.
This is also the one I think that reminds me the most of Imagine Dragons.
Yeah.
It's kind of like Imagine Dragons meets The Weeknd.
Yeah.
And The Weeknd is also when the father gets to see the kids. Provider, dude. So it all makes sense.
I'm the one that takes us to Texas Roadhouse.
Exactly.
Your mother doesn't do that.
Unless there's a long wait, and then we go to Wendy's, and it's just as good.
It'd be awesome if we just found out that like there is just like a 50-year-old divorced dad behind Sleep Token.
Yeah, that's why he doesn't want to be known. Because I don't want to have to pay child support on all this cash I'm making.
We put it in that kid's name. I don't have to be involved with any of it.
My son's
My
name
ex-wife don't see a dime.
She doesn't see a dime. She doesn't even know it.
She's a bitch.
Okay.
That's what Provider's about.
Yeah. Vessel's my stepson.
I do, in all seriousness.
That's why he's Vessel. Because he's a vessel for me.
My
And
cash.
my ideas.
My idea.
He's my windfall.
That would be so awesome.
In all seriousness, just a very, like, lame refrain to me. Provider. Like, you could think of a different synonym for that word, and I think it would be more interesting.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
And we're like, 2 minutes into the song, and it feels like we still are getting like the movie trailer for the song. You know, like I just feel like it hasn't started yet.
In a world.
It just feels like the most boring, and we have gotten some really slow intros up till now, but I mean, I think it is like the subject matter and, this hook of I want to be a provider. I'm like, okay, man.
All right.
And then I think it gets heavy, like right here.
Of course it does.
Yeah. But I think it's another one where it gets heavy for like a very brief second and then kind of goes away.
Yeah. You get to hear like Two's drumming in that period of time. Like he is a great drummer.
He's good.
Yeah, he is good.
He is really good. And like you can almost feel him knowing that his spots are limited on the record. Because when he comes in, he knows he has 28 seconds and he's getting his shit in. It's just like
I gotta bust some chops right here, or else I'm never gonna get it.
Yeah, because like we're already done.
Yeah, it's over.
And it kind of feels like why?
Yeah,
why even? Kind of do it.
Did they go back to it?
I think they do. Like there's a little bit of a build, and then
it always comes in the same way. It goes out the same way. It's like it might be an outro at the end, but it always is like short lived. And Two is always like getting his time in.
Yeah, and just going back from the other two records that I've listened to, it just those flow between heavy and poppy just seemed more like more organic, more natural. And like the heavy parts stood on their own more. Like they would almost become like their own song. Whereas like they always feel like they're playing like pinch hitting for the pop song. You know what I mean?
Yeah, I mean this song could have ended a while back, but we got this like, again, a big gent ending. That's what they go back to every time.
Yeah, and the track
this is Damocles, by the way.
The one thing, like, they have prog elements, and the prog element on this record is, like, the song lengths. There's a lot of these that I think if they polished them down to 3 minutes, you'd be like, oh, that was a pretty nice little pop song.
It is unbelievable how long some of these songs are.
There's, like, at least 4 that are, like, over 7 minutes.
Yeah. And then the other ones are, like, 4.5 to 5.
Yeah.
This is Damocles. This one is... It has probably the most, like, again, kind of like Caramel, where the lyrics really kind of throw me off. Where he talks, it does seem very personal about being a performer or being in the limelight, and maybe not liking it.
This sounds so familiar.
Yeah, I'm not.
It's like
sure
an
what
Adele
that is.
song or something.
Maybe.
Oh shit.
Oh, wow. I think I know what you're talking about. Can't put my finger on it, though, but when you said Adele...
Yeah, I mean, the whole song kind of gives me an Adele vibe, like with the piano and the phrasing.
One of those.
Nailed it.
Yeah.
That was it.
Boom.
Got it.
Yes.
Yeah, we're going to get copyright taken down from Adele by how perfect that was.
Great that was.
Thanks. Thanks, guys.
Yeah, the lyric, I know I should be touring.
Here it is. Yeah. Like, that's like a Billie Eilish lyric.
Can't always be killing the game.
Killing the game.
Can't always be killing the game.
Yeah, and I mean, these are the moments where the ancient alien look is just so strange.
It's
like,
so far out of reach. I'm just like, why the guitars? Why are you dressed like that? Why the lore? You're right when you say this could have been a Vessel solo album.
It does feel that way because it's very personal and like dropping all pretenses that like there's a goddess or something.
Yeah,
it's
it's not there.
I'm rich and famous and I don't like it.
Yeah.
Or like there's part of this that feels like I'm trapped. And again, like the gent comes in, but it's just reinforcing the piano thing that we just heard.
He's
instead
not
of kind
changing
of doing
his
its own
vocal
thing.
approach. It's just like it's just heavier and louder. It's always much louder on the
Way
record,
louder.
which I really don't like. Where it's like you get, not only do you go from minimal to maximal, but you're like it's also with just the volume. Like it's just like you want to take off your headphones or turn down your volume on your phone or something when you're listening to this. You're like, damn, like they want you to know that it's heavy and loud.
Well, and like these guys are, they take their identity very seriously, both as a band and who they are as human beings. And so I have a feeling if anyone that loves Sleep Token watches this and hears what we're saying up until, for the whole thing, they could be like, well, fuck you guys because maybe you do think their masks are dumb or whatever, and none of us are saying that, but like they're protecting their identity, 100%. I'm sure that fame is really hard. It's killed a lot of people, whatever. But I just think there's like a more genuine way to do that if you're gonna speak on such like touching issues to your soul. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah, I think I know what you mean. I think that some people it'll be easier to like do that. It's just odd for me.
Yeah.
Like it's odd to look at like the Spotify picture and it's a like this knight.
Yeah.
Holding two swords.
This gothic knight.
Yeah. And
I guess what I'm saying is I totally respect their want for anonymity. However, the presentation is odd.
Yeah, it's like you like with the anonymity, it would like make more sense to like explore character or something like that.
Yeah. Or like do a gorillas thing or something.
Whereas like you're actually like you're welcoming like introspection and like my personal things, but it's like you're a goal.
It felt like maybe it was that for a while, and now it's maybe it's murky waters of like where are we going with this lore type of thing. Like,
and I think we talked about it. I don't know if he was, but definitely members of the band have been like doxxed by the fan base at this point.
I think the bassist got doxxed or something. Yeah. Someone found out his address or something, which is not fucking cool.
No, not cool at all. Especially if like they're your favorite band and they've made this expressed in like desire to not have their name and shit out there to be.
Oh, I know where you live now. Are you fucking serious?
Got your ass.
The one thing we asked you not to do.
You fucked it up already.
Like Tommy Lee tells you who he is. You're not out there fucking finding his address.
Right, exactly. Yeah, it feels like you kind of did like open up a whole can of worms by protecting your identity in that way.
That's a good point.
Yeah, there's like no good way to go about it. I mean, especially with the internet.
Yeah.
This is Gethsemane,
which is weird. We've had 2 albums in a row that we've did reviews of that have a song called Gethsemane.
Yeah, it is weird.
Would have never thought.
Yeah,
never even heard the word before this year.
Very different.
It's very, very different.
Very different.
Yeah, I was seeing a lot of people online say that this was like their favorite.
This is definitely one of the most different.
It's one of the most different. It's the most personal. It has this like math rock thing going on here. Very like
post-punk,
Polyphia, Cheem, bands like that.
Yeah.
American football.
Oh, Midwest emo.
Yeah.
And Vessel doing more of like a falsetto at the beginning there, which is different. But yeah, I wish that they did more stuff like this on this record, where the band was more showcased, and like showed off. Like obviously they're fucking amazing musicians. Wish we would like it. It feels like a little too late. You're just like, damn, we could have gotten some really cool like riffage, but they don't act as a rock band. They act as a pop band.
Yeah, and it's a weird like color to have in your palette if you're a pop band.
Yeah,
it's like we're gonna have stuff that doesn't sound unlike many other pop acts, but then we have this one thing where we can be like a heavy math rock band. This is among my favorite on the track listing, mostly for just that little math rock section. Because I was like, oh, that was interesting. And it's already kind of gone.
It's already gone. It doesn't really return ever in the song.
Yeah, I think the thing that's going to make Sleep Token a like favorite band for a lot of people is going to be the thing that holds them back for me personally, and it is that sort of like it almost feels like a TikTok song. Like you're like, well, I don't like this vibe's getting a little stale, let's hit the next one. It's like I would rather them hone in and like just write a kick-ass math rock song or write like a more concise pop R&B song. And I think that's kind of like we talked about Past Self kind of working well. And it's because it does feel concise. It sounds focused. This riff is also one of my favorites on the record because it's pretty heavy.
It's pretty heavy. Also reminds me a lot of Deftones, this riff in particular.
Time.
Like the last 2 songs, there's riffs there. I'm just like, that is straight up Deftones.
What's that dude's name?
Stephen Carpenter.
Stephen Carpenter.
But yeah, I mean, I know what you mean by like the TikTok thing where it's like they write their songs based off of like, what can we hit them with? Like, what can it be like?
It's the watch the world burn effect, dude.
A little bit, yeah.
Yeah.
That's a good way to put it too. Where it's just like we need to keep everyone's attention, the whole time. But it's weird to like.
It's ADHD music.
A little bit.
Yeah.
I mean, they do like have longer builds in the beginning, but yeah, it is like just the way they introduce like their refrains and their hooks, where like these giant guitars, and then it goes back down and goes back up again, just like you're on both ends of the spectrum, the extremes, and like this is just a silent part of the song, and then you're just gonna get, it's crazy.
Yeah, and for music that kind of goes like that, it doesn't feel like compositional.
Yeah,
like, there's like the first song felt more compositional, where like the ideas rise and flow in like a very directed way.
Yeah,
but like a lot of the stuff just feels like wild left turn, wild right turn.
And like it's weird too. Like we listened to the Deaf Heaven record that came out this year, Lonely People with Power, and like that was a great example of songs that went from quiet to loud, but just in a very natural way, where they were emotional, they were heavy, they were they had a minimalist, quiet approach that built to these giant, huge black metal moments. But it just worked, it didn't feel as like disjointed as this, I guess.
No, I thought of that album so many times while listening to that for, like that's a band that not nearly as disparate elements as Sleep Token. They're all within like the metal or alternative rock sort of vibe, but like that album has super long songs that are dense, full of like these big left turns, right turns, but everything felt like holistic, part of one larger whole. Yeah. And I thought of that album so many times in kind of like this album feels like almost the opposite of that in a lot of ways.
A big part of that might be like George Clark just being able to like have his black metal screams go along with minimal quiet parts and black metal, heavy parts, where Vessel is kind of, he's also one note, but it doesn't quite fit as well with heavier moments, like if he was to, like we said, do black metal screams when the guitars got heavier occasionally, that would be cool.
Yeah, he does it in the first song and it rips.
Yeah, it's awesome. He does it in this last one too. This is the last one called Infinite Baths. This is an 8.5 minute song, almost about. Yeah, it's another long
Infinite
one.
Baths. That's what my dad takes in his small business, dude. We're taking a bath, dude. Infinite.
And I'm the provider.
I'm the provider. I'm out here taking infinite baths. My hardware store.
I'm still the provider.
I'm still
okay.
It.
Guess what, buddy? You're going to be stuck to me like caramel for your whole life.
Yeah.
With every business I come up with, you're my number 2.
That's
yeah,
it.
You're the co-signer on all this debt. So even when I'm dead, they're coming for you.
Just waiting for Damocles to hit me back. The lumber business that I buy from.
And
this whole album is just
a metaphor for some piece of shit entrepreneur dad.
For a failure of a father.
That's our next concept record.
That's
is
awesome,
my
dude.
dad.
Yeah, the concept Infinite Baths, dude. That's what my business takes. And it also made me think of Infinite Granite. That's another thing that's probably why I started thinking of Deaf Heaven. And because I'm like, you should sound like Deaf Heaven.
Yeah.
You should sound more like Deaf Heaven.
Take some notes.
Yeah. Take some notes. They're like so much bigger than Deaf Heaven.
God,
Take some notes.
Deaf Heaven's like, we're buying his 808 and fucking putting down some synth.
We're actually going to do more Sleep Token type stuff.
Yeah, we were thinking about buying some socks and putting them over our heads.
Yeah. And I was never George Clark. That was a pseudonym.
Yeah. No.
That was a pseudonym.
My name's Bowl. Vessel and Bowl.
Yeah, dude.
Bowl.
Yeah, I mean, the heavy guitar that shows up towards the back half of this, I do like. There's like this weird...
I like it too.
There's like a weird Pink Floyd chord that they go to a couple different times.
Yes.
And then when it goes heavy, I'm like, oh, wow, that's a nice, like, different color that I hadn't heard yet. But
yeah, I didn't even think of that.
But it does have a bit of like a too little, too late. Like I've sat through stuff that doesn't sound unlike this
majorly
for so
the
long.
whole time.
Yeah.
And now we have...
it fades out too, which is like
Yeah.
I expected better out of this epic big cinematic movie trailer band to just and the fade out starts like a minute before the song ends and I've been so trained this whole album to expect to just get smacked again. I was like, oh, we're fading out because I'm gonna brace myself because I'm gonna go BAM and then nothing happens.
Fade outs are my least are a pet peeve of mine in music just in general.
Yeah.
And to close out like an 8-minute closer on an album with basically an album's worth of like closers, you know?
Yeah.
Like I was disappointed by that fade out, especially for how heavy it ends, you know? Like the whole thing builds to this giant fucking guitar part and then it's just and I think people will make the argument of like, oh, they're gonna, you know, it's kind of teasing towards new music. It's like, well, I've heard albums have an ending and it feels like more of a tease, you know, than anything.
I've heard that there's like secret code embedded in this album with their lyrics. I saw a TikTok where like certain lyrics, like in the middle of the word, a letter's capitalized and you add those up and that means something. Like,
yeah.
Whatever.
Drink your Ovaltine.
Drink your Ovaltine.
Your Ovaltine.
10% off merch. Like, what?
You got an exclusive vinyl.
There's a kid wearing like a vessel mask. Drink your Ovaltine.
That's so awesome.
Yeah.
Crummy commercial. I think I read that it like if you loop the album, the like fade out kind of plays right into the beginning of the song because like it's a similar melody, and I think that Eclipse refrain is on this song as well. Here's that like Pink Floyd chord.
Yeah,
it's like
what is that?
Like a spacey thing.
Yeah, not quite. Maybe Great Gig in the Sky.
Maybe Great Gig in the Sky, or what am I thinking?
What's the one that Great Gig in the Sky that leads into that?
Us and Them. Was it Us and Them?
It's something off Dark Side that has that like exact chord. That I'm like,
Oh,
I know what you're talking about.
Yeah. Breathe. I think it's Breathe. Yeah, I think it's Breathe.
Yeah, I think you're right.
God, that album rules.
That
It's
album
amazing.
Does
So sick.
Dude, put on Dark
Let's
Side.
just talk about that. You put on Dark Side.
Dude, I haven't listened to Dark Side in a minute, dude.
We should do
I remember going to
classic
late.
review.
Oh, dude, I would love
That would be
awesome.
amazing.
I love Dark Side.
Dude, going to Laser Floyd and hearing Great Gig in the Sky, and just
Oh
that
my
lady
God.
fucking
Wailing.
off, dude.
We don't have to talk about it. We'll talk about it offline. But like the story of that singer in particular, they
She
like
made,
pulled her out of
50
bed.
bucks.
Yeah,
Like, here's
That's
she was
50 bucks.
recording that like in her nightgown,
even
pregnant
know
or
that.
something. Or maybe I'm confusing that with the Gimme Shelter.
No,
singer.
well, no, I think I read something.
It's a similar story. Anyways,
Let's go back because we talked about Dark Side of the Moon.
This is kind of like Great Gig in the
Yeah.
Sky right here.
Here's the big drop that goes into the heavy part. It maybe I don't know if it's the heavy part before the heavy part. I can't remember if this lasts until the end.
We get some black metal vocals.
Yeah.
I think
this
it
does.
switches
This
up.
fades out. I think.
Like I
Yeah.
like that they're doing that Pink Floyd chord still, but like
Yeah.
super
Yeah.
heavy.
Yeah.
I like their approach to black metal screams too, where it almost just sounds like white noise.
Yeah,
you know, like
I
that's,
agree.
That's pretty neat. Like that's a switch up that I really like. You know, a stylistic change where it's like it's not just a guy screaming. It also sounds like the girl from The Ring. Also,
exactly.
you know what I mean?
Yeah,
Like, that's cool.
Poltergeist. Or
Yeah,
something.
yeah.
No, I agree. Like when they do more black metal, I like it more.
Yeah.
Now that could also be taste. Like I like Death Heaven more than I like Drake.
Right. Yeah.
But like this, I like a lot. Like when they start
Yeah.
like going into this like heavier, choppier thing, to going off.
Yeah, I
once
mean, they
again.
really fucking show how sick they can be at the end of the song. Like,
hitting a note that feels like it's like below the fretboard. It's like, dude.
Yeah.
13 string guitar.
Yeah.
It's just up here.
The ZZ Top
Yeah.
guitar that's like 26 strings.
Yeah,
or
that
Yeah,
guy.
that bass
Yeah,
is
that guy.
like the 48.
Yeah, it's fucking
Yeah.
awesome.
Yeah, I mean, this is vicious.
Yeah.
I just wish that I didn't have to sit through like 50 minutes.
Yeah.
48 minutes until we got to this point. Yeah.
But this is fucking gnarly.
Yeah, it is gnarly, and it's even like a genre of metal that I'm not even big on. But I mean, like it's fucking so heavy. It's undeniably cool.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And then this like little like weird melody thing going on.
Should we CA it?
Yeah, let's see.
Yeah,
dude.
I mean we're down at the end. Who's going first? Should I go first? I can go
You
first.
can go
You go
first.
first.
Yeah, I mean, I was half expecting to dive into a Sleep Token record for all the shit we've, talked. Not even really shit talk.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Just for all the times we've been,
For all of our astute analysis.
mildly critical of this band, but somehow it's come off as like
Jealousy and envy.
jealousy
coming
and
from my
hate and
enemies.
anger. Yeah.
Yeah.
Out of all the times we've been mildly critical of this band, I was thinking that I had a feeling I'd walk into this record and somehow be like, I really like this. I just thought that was gonna like happen, like like a cruel joke or something. But yeah, I was disappointed, honestly, in the fact that like what we got and how much I didn't enjoy it. It's not that I hated it. I mean, I think that there are some moments that are really cool and like where they show off their talent, but I was just so like astounded by how poppy they went with this direction, and like even boiling down, not even with the sounds, but boiling down to the lyrics as well, talking about more personal things, where this is a band where like I was kind of, we kind of talk shit on lore a lot on this show with like bands like King Gizzard and fucking,
Stoner Rock,
Stoner Rock, Goblin Dick, stuff like
Hell
that.
yeah.
Oh, hell yeah.
But
I'm writing that song.
Right. I was kind of ready for it with this one though, because I was just like, fuck it. We're listening to Sleep Token. I don't know much about them, but let's dive into this, weird like witchcraft-y world that they have. And I didn't really get it, every heavy guitar part felt like a jump scare, felt like it was shoehorned in at the end of a pop song where it just really didn't need to be there. Just each song, it just got more difficult to remember like who this band was and who was behind, the music. It felt like, I remember a couple of years ago, Ed Sheeran said that he like wanted to make a record with Cradle of Filth, and
What?
I feel like this was almost that. Like if we would have gotten that record, it probably would sound like this.
We haven't seen Vessel and Ed in the same place.
That's
Never
true.
But yeah, I mean, like I felt like I was listening to Ed Sheeran a lot, mixed with some heavy guitars that didn't need to be there. But yeah, I mean, I liked it when they were more focused on this record, and like that was really for me only on like a couple songs. Like I would definitely give my favorite to Past Self just because it was more focused. I don't even like love the hip hop direction of that, but it felt like an actual song, and it would have been cool to get like a straightforward metal song the whole time. You know? Like maybe throw one of those in there that was a little bit shorter instead of just like, that's another part of the record that I didn't enjoy, was just like the length and the twists and turns of every song, and how they probably, are thinking we're giving our all on every song here, but when you give your all on every song and you do all these genre shifts on every single song, it just gets to be so predictable. Like this album was
diminishing returns.
Yeah, it was diminishing returns. This album was predictable. It was, it started to get a little bit grating on my ears just with his voice and his melodies, and just like, hearing these djent guitars over and over again in the same way, introduced in the same way, ending in the same ways. These little spurts of like heaviness followed by a lot of dramatic pop. I just was exhausted by it. That was really the only thing I felt like. I really did think I was going to enjoy it more than I did. But I'm going to give it like a 4.5.
I'll go next. Do Do either of you guys remember the toy Beyblades? Do you remember what those are? Do you know what I'm talking about?
They were sick.
It's like a spinning.
Oh yeah, like an arena.
Yeah.
I never had them, but they were sick.
Yeah, they're like sharp looking and look like they're actual weapon, like ninja star things. This band to me is Beyblades.
Hell yeah.
Good comparison.
They're
Shut it off. I think we got it all. This band is Beyblade.
They're I presume, well, not I presume, I kind of, by their TikTok presence and things, marketed to younger people and also coveted by alt adults and things like that, but they pose this threatening aura but then aren't at all. And so my main criticism of this band is what I've said over and over again, but what really came out in listening to a whole album of this is it's entirely edgeless, even though they want you to think that they are so edgy. And there are heavy parts to it. Like, there's ways that they could have done the pop sections that make up like 98% of their songs with a grit or an edge or a chip on your shoulder or something that would make it more believable, even if you are singing about sticking to me like karma or whatever. There's a way to convey that with the masks, with everything, that is more believable. And they don't do that for me, like, at all. And, like, to do heavy music authentically, too, like they claim to be, it has to have some sort of, like, nastiness. And maybe the scream in a song is nasty, or the guitar is nasty in a part. There's just too much disconnect all over the place. Like, 1 minute I'm on a beach in Miami, the other minute I'm, on the North Pole or something.
You're
like
in hell.
I'm in hell. Yeah, whatever. It's just, there's, like, I was thinking of this during the review. We talked about Ghost last week, and Ghost, they have a similar disconnect, if not a worse disconnect. However, they stick to their fucking guns. They talk about, the occult and whatever the fuck, and this band, like, had their conceptual albums, and now they're talking about their feelings and, like, whatever. But, like, Ghost doesn't...
is campier.
Ghost is campier.
I can get behind.
Yeah, it's just...
Yeah.
But then you go so serious with this band, but yet it's... I don't know. I'm lost in all of this, and there's no edge, and it doesn't really do anything for me. I'm probably going to give this album a 3 out of 10.
Okay.
Yeah, I think I feel similar to you, Nate, in that I did think that there was a chance I'd be walking away with, like, my tail between my legs, being like, damn, I do like this.
Yeah.
And after listening to some of their older music, I don't think that their style is for me. Like, this idea of, and like you said, like, they say that they're heavy. I don't even think that they do. Like, I don't think it's them that are like, we're a metal band. Like, they're pretty pop first. It is just this weird amalgamation of things. Yeah. Like, you look at them, you're like, that's the heaviest band ever. And then you hear even the music that they were making on their first album that you're like, this is so poppy. Yeah. But I do think if we, like, comparing this as a piece of work compared to the things that they've done previously, I just think that even though the overall project, I don't think it matches, like, my taste, I do think that their previous albums were more compelling in how they did those things. Yeah. Like, listening to their last album, there is, like, the mix is a bit more even. You get as much pop stuff as you do heavy stuff. I think that the way that the heavy stuff is employed on those records is, like, it's entirely its own thing. Mm-hmm. It's like doing something that the synths and pop instrumentation can't do. Yeah. Whereas, like, the heaviness and the rock instrumentation just comes in to replace the DAW stems at some point. Yeah. And it's like, I just feel like that older stuff was more interesting, the things that they were doing. Yeah. I agree that overall the experience is like taxing, like, at a certain degree. Like, I thought, like, the first 4 songs, I was like, okay, You know, I can get there. Like, I think that the first song is pretty strong. Like, if that is your thing, like, we're going to mix up all these genres. We're going to be able to go from sugary, sweet pop and this, like, really melodramatic vocal delivery to this insanely heavy thing. Like, that takes you from 0 to 100 in a way that makes total sense. And I think each individual part works, and even raps in the middle.
Yeah.
You know? Whereas, like, as the album goes on, the songs, even though they may not sonically be exactly the same, they start to work the exact same way. We open up super sparse. The dramatic vocal starts taking over. At some point, the heaviness is going to come in for just a short section. It's going to drop back out, and then we're either going to continue on the pop and end, or continue on the pop, and then the heaviness comes back. And it's like, only so many times can that be exciting.
Yeah.
I definitely don't think they're like the worst band ever or anything like that. They're clearly talented. He has a great voice. They have a good ear for sounds and melody. But there is, like, from all the genres that they're like pulling from, it doesn't feel like they're really putting their stamp on any of them. It's like their stamp is that we can collect them all.
Yeah.
Instead of being
Pokemons.
like, like, this is my version of trap. It's just like, no, you just happen to have trap in a song that also has metal guitars. So I would like, if I were to hear more from this band, it would be cool to hear them like just hone in on one or two or several and try to really make them their own. But overall, I'm feeling pretty similar to Nate. I think I'm going to go 4.7.
4.0. And that's a whatever.
That is a
That's the most whatever.
That is
a low whatever.
A low whatever, but I don't know what kind of whatever is it.
Oh man. Deadbeat dad, whatever.
Deadbeat dad, whatever.
Yeah.
Which no one's gonna understand unless you watch the whole review.
Which, if you're a fan of this band, I'm sure you shut off.
I'm sure you're.
It's a Beyblade,
super pissed.
whatever.
Yeah. I'm sure everyone's super happy about what we've said about this band. I mean, I don't know.
Subscribe to our Patreon if you love.
I mean, we're just, we're trying to be fair here. Like, I don't care that they're not a metal band. Like, that's not what we're saying.
Could not give a shit.
I don't give a shit about the whole genre. Fuck metal. Yeah, I'll just say it. Fuck
Dude,
metal.
don't!
I don't care. Dude, don't.
Delete that.
We're fucked now, dude.
But it's just a thing where it's like, it's the album experience. Like, I did listen to Take Me Back to Eden, and I did enjoy this, and that's probably why I thought I was going to enjoy this more. But like, because that one did feel like just a more direct experience, whereas this one just felt like so all over the place and kind of like meandering, directionless. Didn't really know what they were, gonna do with each song, but they were like, well, that's our thing, we'll just put the heavy thing in there.
We're Sleep Token.
Good,
Yeah, and I'm glad I listened to the album in because I mean they've come up a couple times, and I've almost like made them a blind spot because of how like the fans just will
brutalize us.
Yeah, exactly.
Fat, dumb, bald idiots.
Yeah, exactly.
But from what I understand, they're equal opportunity. Anybody who talks about this band in other than super glowing terms is going to get hit with it.
Oh, I saw some people on Reddit who like didn't like the album so much. Like before I listened to it, I was just like seeing what people thought. And people are very careful. Before they're like, I know I'm talking to the Sleep Token fan base. I know what they mean for me. I know what's about to happen. But, and if I could just say with the utmost respect.
Pat it.
But, like, it's just like there's a whole preamble that you have to give before you get to this, to the. I thought it was okay.
Yeah, I would say that maybe the fan base, like if everybody who's giving the review of this album feels like they're doing it from the gallows with the noose around their neck and just at any point they're just like hang them. No, I'm just glad that we listened to like a full album because like now I understand what the project is. Yeah. Like and like there's still parts of it that are puzzling to me of like the fan base, the like the impetus to want to put all of these pieces together. Like what, like, did you grow up loving like trap and like Napalm Death or something like that, and it's. Who knows? But I'm glad that at least I have like a frame of reference for this band of like, okay, no, they are a pop band.
Yeah. I did some digging and I know who Vessel is and who he was. And
you're part of the problem, dude.
I'm part.
That's why the stage feels like a cage.
Yeah,
because assholes like you.
I mean, I think it's like probably everyone knows, but yeah, I mean, I think he was like more of like a folk singer songwriter before, so like I can kind of understand the pop side of this because it was it had an Ed Sheeran quality, like a dark Ed Sheeran quality.
Dark Sheeran.
Yeah, it had that
Zero Dark Sheeran.
Darth Sheeran.
Darth Sheeran. It had a Darth Sheeran quality, a little bit before. So I kind of understand that, but like the metal part of it is puzzling. I was able to understand Ghost way more after listening to Ghost than I am right now.
Well, yeah. Well, I think understanding each of like their fan base, like I think like Ghost is like metal horror dudes. Yeah, it kind of all fits to guys who just want to have some fun,
having fun.
Whereas I think that TikTok generation is like really Sleep Token's kind of like bag. Yeah, you know what I mean? Because like their songs are cinematic, and there's like. Any one of these 8-minute songs, you could probably carve out a sick like 15 seconds to put on TikTok and be like, "Damn, I am like mysterious and cool."
Yeah.
And that's fine. I mean, like I think that if this is a gateway drug for people into different types of music, like maybe this is the metal guy's introduction to like trap or whatever, and vice versa.
Yeah.
I don't think that there's anything wrong with it. Like, I don't think, we're not those people that are sitting here being like, this should not exist.
Yeah, no.
This is the worst thing. It's like, no, it's just an album that I didn't really
just
like.
Didn't understand, didn't like, not for us.
Yeah.
That's really all it is. It's a 4.0. I'm afraid to ask. But what did you think of it?
Well, you're going to tell us anyway.
Yeah, I didn't think you had to ask, son.
Yeah, but, let us know what you thought, I guess, in the comments. Sub to the channel.
That might be asking too much.
Yeah.
I mean, we talk about other stuff on here. Maybe you'll like it. Thanks for watching. Sub to the channel. Follow us on Instagram and TikTok. And subscribe to our Patreon page.
If you dare.
Just feel bad for even saying it. But that's Sleep Token, even in Arcadia 4.0. It's I Quit My Band. We'll see you next time. Goodbye.